After 25 years of specializing in working with family business, one of the key concepts that has come to me is the notion that the currency of family business is communication. So when we think about that, it may seem simplistic, but what we find is that it is such a complex system with the family and the business that our normal patterns of communication aren't sufficient. So I have put together some thinking about what contributes to success in terms of communication in family business. And there are three aspects. One is structure, the second is safety, and the third is skills. So 3 S's, safety, skills, and structure. So to go a little bit into each of those, when we have a family and you have informal communication, that may work well. But when you have a structure, a family business, there are many opportunities where the family communication may get lost in the business, or the business communication may get lost on the family. And one of the challenges we find is that people feel left out of the loop. They feel left out of the communication. I didn't know about this. And part of it is because people assume that the informality of the family, the communication that worked in the informal manner in the family would work in a family business, but it doesn't. So we need to have structure that will assure that there's a legitimate place for communication within each part of the system. So if I'm in the business, I have a structure called a management team or a leadership team. And that team is a place, the meetings of that team is a place where I know what's going on in the business. The left hand knows what the right hand is doing. So that's a legitimate place for that communication. If I'm in the family, though, what happens? Where do I get communication? Well, it might be Thanksgiving dinner, or it might be Sunday morning breakfast. But that doesn't assure that I'm going to really know what's going on in the family business, what's going on throughout the system, and have a place to really talk about my role and my responsibilities and the opportunities. So we believe that there has to be a legitimate structure for that, called a family council or a family meeting. And the third role that people take on in family business is that of owner. Many times I believe there's a mitosis of the family business. You start with one person who's the founder, and then maybe he divides and does all the roles, but as things get more and more complicated, he hires other people. So the roles begin to divide. Well, when that happens, then some members of the family may become owners, and they may not work in the family business. And so they are not in the loop about what's going on. And eventually, as they become what we call psychological owners, they take their ownership seriously, they begin to say, hey, I don't know what's going on in the business. So then we have a role that needs to be filled with another legitimate structure, and that's called a board of directors. That becomes a place where owners have the right to have their voices heard and where they can express their goals for their asset, the family business. So the structured piece, then, we have an office of the key executives where they have meetings, and that becomes the legitimate structure for their role in the business. And we have an ownership role that's addressed by the board of directors and a place to have communication, and then a family council or a family meeting where families can get together and say, what is our vision for the family and its assets? So they can talk there. So that's the role of structure in communication in the family business. Many times we also suggest that families do other forms of communication, whether it's a newsletter, electronic or paper, to keep everybody in the loop, or other kinds of telephonic meetings or video meetings so that they have an opportunity to stay in the loop. The second piece is safety. Very often family members don't talk about issues in their family business because it's not safe. They say, if I disagree or I ask a question, my siblings or my father may feel that it's inappropriate for me to be asking questions. If I say something and it hurts my sister's feelings, she'll never forget it. She has a memory like an elephant. And so 10 years from now, she's going to hold it against me. So it's not always safe. And if you think about it, when you talk to people on an airplane, you may tell them your life story, but you don't do that in the family. So oftentimes that's because it doesn't feel safe. So we work at helping families to create safety in their communication with each other. And many times that's the role of an advisor, to help create what we call a safe container for dialogue, where we role model how to help have comfortable communication. And one of the pieces that we advise to help create safety is to establish ground rules. Ground rules that say, how do we make sure I can participate in a way where I'm not going to have something held against me? How can we participate in a way where we can be assured of confidentiality, where we can build the trust? So the ground rules help. Learning some skills, which is the third S, such as paraphrasing, making sure everyone has an opportunity to participate, giving everyone airspace. These are all part of the ways in which we help people feel safe. And then we move on to the third element, which is skills. By and large, people are not skilled at communicating. It isn't something we learn automatically growing up. So we need to learn the skill first and foremost of being able to share our points of view in an assertive way that doesn't necessarily attack someone, but that lets people know how they feel. Secondly, and probably most importantly, is to learn to effectively listen. And as we effectively listen to one another, then we have the opportunity to create safety, to help people know that we're trying to understand them, and to demonstrate, if we paraphrase, what it is we do understand. And that helps to minimize the misunderstandings that are natural in families. Knowing how to ask questions in an appropriate manner, knowing how to resolve conflict, how to have differences and really resolve those differences in a constructive way. All of these are the skills that we help families to learn so that they can communicate effectively. So it's safety, structure, and skills.